Okay, we're going. We're sweet. Good, thank you. It's 5:30. I'll have the public forum of Tuesday the 28th of April open. In accordance with the Local Government Act of 1993, Cowra Council is live streaming and recording this public forum and will upload the recording to Council's website. By speaking at this forum, you agree to being live streamed and recorded, and having that recorded published in the public domain. Please ensure that when you speak at public forums you are respectful to others and use appropriate language at all times. Cowra Council accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures made during the course of the meeting. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we gather, the Wiradjuri people, and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. I have an apology from Councillor Speechley. Councillor staff, please indicate in relation to any interest you need to declare. A, what report or item you are declaring an interest in. B, whether the interest is pecuniary or non-pecuniary. And C, what is the nature of the interest?
You're only after interest in 6.2.
Yep. And as I say, today it is only 6.2 because that's what Mr Vickery would like to talk about. There is one member of the public who has registered with the General Manager's office to speak. However, as a chair, I will allow them to speak on an item in the agenda. Scott Vickery, who will speak to item 6.2, the Brisbane Street / Liverpool Street roundabout safety. I will call the speaker by name and I will ask that you introduce yourself and allow time for any councillor or member of staff, if they have declared an interest in the item, to manage that conflict, which may include them leaving the room for your presentation. Each speaker will have a maximum of 5 minutes. I'd like to call on Mr Scott Vickery, please.
Ready? We're good. Okay. Evening, everyone. My name's Scott Vickery. I think everyone here knows who I am. Thank you for the opportunity to address the ordinary meeting again today in relation to agenda item 6.2, which is the Brisbane Street, Liverpool Street roundabout safety. I note that the recommendation from the Cowra Transport Forum, which used to be called the Traffic Committee, is that no change be made to the current landscaping in the central island of the roundabout at the intersection of Liverpool Street and Brisbane Street, which is consistent with the recommendation from the meeting back on the 27th of October 2025. I also note in the forum minutes that there have been no reported traffic crash statistics available from police. At the last meeting in October, I did explain that this would likely be due to the fact that police only need to attend motor vehicle collisions and subsequently have them recorded if 1, there is an injury, 2, parties have failed to exchange details, or 3, drugs or alcohol are involved. Therefore, near miss or minor collisions will have absolutely no bearing on the collection of any police data. I also note at the meeting on the 27th of October that the vast majority of councillors in this room had experienced issues at this same location, mainly due to restricted visibility caused by the outer plant boxes, which is further exacerbated by the topography of the intersection. So between myself and the small cohort of people, the vast majority of us have raised concerns about the location. It would be therefore fair to argue that similar issues would have been experienced by other road users negotiating this same intersection. I also note that after the meeting on the 27th of October, the Cowra Guardian ran a story on this topic where they mentioned that the RTA representative from the Traffic Committee back in 2005-2006, which I was a member of, had raised some concerns about the roundabout at that location. However, due to the fact that this did not fall within the ambit of his responsibility, the matter never went any further and solely fell on that of the council to make any decisions due to it being on a council road. During the past few weeks, I have been guilty myself of entering the roundabout from a southerly direction to turn west, whilst a car who was already on the roundabout approaching me from the north had to slow whilst he was also turning west. I've also spoken to a local school teacher who was abused about 6 weeks ago from another driver who, according to the teacher, was cut off by this other motorist, where gesticulated unpleasantries were exchanged, not by the teacher, by the alleged offender. I have also cited red lens plastic on the western side of the roundabout consistent with a broken tail light. For any traffic calming device to be effective, it needs to be fit for purpose. Whilst I appreciate that on the engineering perspective, and it does comply, however, when drivers negotiating this location are cutting off other cars or having near-miss accidents due to poor visibility, it doesn't seem to be fit for purpose. Just because something complies on paper doesn't mean that it can't be subject to scrutiny and change when required. To reiterate what I raised in October, I'm not asking that the roundabout nor the centre cylindrical garden bed be removed. What I'm asking for is that the outer plant boxes, if they can't be reduced in height, then they need to be removed in the interest of road safety. If council could resemble a similar style to the roundabout in Vaux and Brisbane streets, then this would significantly reduce any issues that I've raised here today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Scott. Does anyone have any questions of Scott? No? Okay, thank you.
Right, I've got to go.
Yeah. I'll wait for 10 minutes and we'll then have the other. So I'll declare the forum closed and the council meeting will commence at 5:45. It's 5:30. I'd like to open the ordinary council meeting of Tuesday the 28th of April 2026. In accordance with the Local Government Act of 1993, the Cowra Council is live streaming and recording this meeting and will upload the recording to Council's website. By speaking at this meeting, you agree to being live streamed and recorded and having that recording published in the public domain. Please ensure that when you speak at council meetings, you are respectful to others and use appropriate language at all times. Cowra Council accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures made during the course of this meeting. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we gather, the Wiradjuri people, and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. I have an apology from Councillor Speechley. Would someone like to move that be? Oh, and I also have an apology from Director Allen from administration. I've got a mover, Councillor Downing and Councillor Cave. Thank you. Councillor Downing? Not necessary. Councillor Cave? Anyone else wish to speak? Write a reply, Councillor Downing. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Thank you. 1.4, council and staff, please indicate in relation to any interest you need to declare. A, what report or item you are declaring an interest in. B, whether the interest is pecuniary or non-pecuniary. And C, what is the nature of that interest. Nothing tonight? Very good. We have no presentations. I'll now take a motion to confirm the minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on the 23rd of March 2026. Councillor Kiss. Councillor Horton. Thank you. Councillor Kiss.
Not needed, thank you.
Councillor Horton.
Not required, thank you.
Anyone else wish to comment? Write a reply, Councillor Kiss.
Not needed, thank you.
Put the motion. All those in favour? Pass. Thank you. Item 3 is the General Committee recommendations from Monday the 13th of April. 3.1 is the update on the West Cowra Stormwater Progress Report. Councillor Wright and Councillor Fagan. Thank you. Councillor Wright.
Yeah, thank you. The report contained what they plan to do on the northern end of the stormwater drain. It's been an ongoing issue. Just how to best handle the West Cowra stormwater drain. There's not a lot of slope and a lot of it, but then on the northern end it dips away pretty quick, and got to control the water when it gets to the Grenfell Road, and also through land that has a approved DA on it, so it doesn't impact on the housing, any future housing there. It's very interesting, and I commend the staff for the way they're breaking it up in stages to try and work things out to get it done, and so not to impact on the finances in one big lump sum. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Fagan.
I don't think that, just to say I agree with Councillor Wright, and I thank the Director for his report, and it is a progress report, and we have had some before and we continue to have them, and it is a very big project that we need to look into carefully. So I think it's important that we do get these progress reports, and I thank the Director for his wise modelling.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment? Write a reply, Councillor Wright.
Not needed.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Thank you. Passed. 3.2 is development application number 10.2026.4.1, lot 167, DP 1162233, being 2 Hillside Terrace, Cowra, a 6-lot subdivision and construction of 2 dual occupancy and 4 semi-detached dwellings, lodged by A. Robson. The property owner is Southern Rural Holdings Proprietary Limited. This is for notation only, as it will be dealt with at 7.2 later on tonight. Can I have a mover? Councillor Kiss, Councillor Horton, thank you. Councillor Kiss.
I think we'll speak later on this later tonight, Mr Mayor. Thank you.
Councillor Horton.
Yeah, agree. We'll talk later. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to comment? Councillor Kiss, write a reply.
Not needed, thank you.
Put the motion, all those in favour? Pass, thank you. 3.3 is the councillor information request from the committee meeting. Councillor Kiss, Councillor Downing. Councillor Kiss,
Not needed, thank you.
Councillor Downing. Anyone else wish to comment? Write a reply, Councillor Kiss.
Not needed, thank you.
Put the motion, all those in favour? Pass, thank you. 4.1 is the child safety policy. Councillor Watt.
I'd like to move an alternate motion, please, that we postpone to the May meeting to allow consultation with youth council parents.
A seconder for that, Councillor Horton.
Yeah, I'd second that. We had discussed previously that we wanted to do that as part of the consultation process, and we found out that hasn't happened. That's okay, but we'd like to have that consultation if we could. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to comment on deferring that? Write a reply, Councillor Watt.
Not needed.
Put the motion, all those in favour? Pass, thank you very much. 4.2 is the Section 355 committee minutes of the CBD committee of the 18th of March 2026. Councillor Watt, thank you. Councillor Downing. Councillor Watt.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. And noting that we'd like to move item 5 as the councillors Paul Smith and Erin Watt be appointed as the 2 councillor representatives, if my seconder is happy with that.
Councillor Downing. Yep. Right.
Fantastic, thank you.
Do you wish to speak on the rest of it?
That's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. The CBD committee is very active as always. We've got a few notes through here that are worth raising. Firstly, noting the resignation of Stassi Austin. As many around the table will know, Stassi has moved to Canberra, which I'm sure many committees around town will be seeing a big reduction in their engagement from young people. Stassi's always taken an active role in the community and brought a really unique voice to many of our committees, where we don't see many people that of Stassi's age engaging in community. But we're very excited for her move to Canberra and looking forward to seeing what she does next. The committee, as you can see here, considered the CBD activation plan thus far and recommended a number of items be considered to be added to the next financial year operational plan. These are all in line, of course, with the plan that's been adopted as council has passed, but they've highlighted ones that they think should be a priority for starting up in the year ahead. Some of them developing work so that it can be implemented in the next couple of years, doing some of the groundwork, but overall continuing in that place, particularly looking at placement of notice boards and in continuing the beautification of the main street, building on the great work that the infrastructure and operations team have been doing so far, particularly Macquarie Street, that's looking really fantastic. As well as starting up the investigation of schemes for encouraging building owners to paint their shop fronts. This is something that was suggested in the CBD activation plan, but the action suggested for this year is just to investigate those options and then for those to be considered in some kind of grant system and judged on there, not to suggest that we're taking this on from here on. The committee, as can be seen in the minutes, also noted thankfully that the consideration of the Macquarie Street Precinct Master Plan has already been raised with Council and is being considered as part of the operational plan. Jumping into the suggestion in items 4 and 5, that Council reduce the number of councillors on the CBD committee to 2. As the people around the table will remember, this committee started with 5 councillors back in 2023, I think, trying to remember. And we placed 5 councillors on the committee at the time due to the infancy of the committee and the importance of the development of the CBD activation plan being something that we wanted council to be very heavily involved in. The committee has now moved into a different stage of maturity where we're monitoring that implementation of the plan and primarily focused on both that and getting feedback from the community and business owners on how we roll that out, shown I think really well by the collaboration with the environmental services team on the footpath trading policy and communication of that to our community. So in reflection of that, we've had conversations as councillors and committee members as well about whether we still need that level of engagement. We were sitting at 4 councillors, which is obviously a lot of time, but we think that this committee is at a point now where it can sit further in line with other committees and having 2 councillors represented. If council accepts this tonight, we will sadly be saying goodbye to Tony Horton and Cheryl Downing. Cheryl's been on the committee since the very beginning and taken a really active role in the development of getting our community engaged, building the committee itself and who the right kind of people would be to provide that insight, as well as shepherding some of the committee through and the community through to developing that. Cheryl brought some really fantastic insight from her time managing some of the buildings through the main street and that history over time, which has been really helpful in developing our plan thus far. Tony Horton's also been a fantastic member over the last year, and I would like to thank him for his always passionate engagement in the content, and we'll miss him greatly. But as we know, our councillors have limited time, and we want to use that committee as something we can listen to the community rather than focusing on council's voice. So that's why we're recommending this today. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Downing.
I'd agree with everything that Councillor Watt has said. This is a really engaged and active, quite young committee, which is a great reflection of our town and where things are going. I think that this is the age group that is going to drive the town to go forward. So I'm excited to see what they can do as they follow the plan, and sad to step down, but happy to have one less thing to do.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment? I'd like to just add to what Councillor Watt has said, that when we started this CBD committee, there was no Chamber of Commerce. Now there looks like being an active Chamber of Commerce, and some of the roles of the CBD committee will revert to the Chamber of Commerce. So the CBD committee will cut back in some of its activities on what it does, and I think 2 councillors is probably appropriate for that committee. Councillor Kiss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and not to be difficult at all. It's only that when I certainly support everything that's been said about it's not being in its infancy anymore, but I didn't see anything within the meeting minutes to say that that the committee had decided that they would consider only 2 councillors to be appropriate for the committee, and just. Even though I've now heard, obviously, from Councillor Downing is obviously very supportive of this, so I can take from that she's, quite okay with being made redundant by choice, by not by choice. But I just feel that there's nothing in here to say that the current councillors wish to no longer be a part of the committee, and I feel that that should be noted somewhere. And of course, if they wish to continue, then maybe it could just be by natural attrition that as they choose to drop off, then that also be noted. But without knowing anything behind the story, from what I've just heard here, it looks like there's just going to be 2 taken off with no consideration as to given what their feelings are. So if I could put that to you, Mr. Mayor.
Certainly, Councillor Kiss. Councillor Downing had resigned from the committee, so her feelings are known. And Councillor Horton had indicated that he was struggling to attend the meetings due to time constraints. Both those councillors are on the Sport and Rec Committee, which also meets on a Monday night. So, Councillor Horton.
Sorry, yes, and it's a good point. It's not noted in the minutes, but there was discussion at the last committee meeting as to the number of councillor representatives on the committee as well. So there was a general agreement around the room. Certainly was my recollection that two was fine. Yep.
Just, Mr Chair, if I just add to that, if you look at the last 3 lines of my report, it talks about the minutes haven't yet been finalised from the April meeting, but I'm advised the committee resolved to recommend council reduce the number of councillors to 2, so that's recording in this report that was a resolution of the committee, and it will appear in the April minutes when they come before council.
Councillor Downing,
That's what I was going to say, that the general manager had addressed that and said that those minutes weren't available, but that's what had happened.
Councillor Kiss.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and thank you once again for confirming that. I was never suggesting there was anything untoward. I knew there was a story behind it, but just for, you know, for reference, I felt that it should be noted somewhere in this discussion. And I have noticed it's not in the recommendation, but referring to what Councillor Watt has mentioned about the master plan, I apologise if I didn't quite hear correctly, but it does mention in here something about $80,000 for to be set aside as a budget line. And of course, I fully agree with what's happening with the Riverbank Precinct Master Plan, but I thought we already had one of those. So if that would be the case, wouldn't it just be a matter of staff going through it, not needing a whole new budget line for a whole new master plan? Is there one that we can continue to work with, or is it redundant?
I'll ask the General Manager to comment on that.
In the draft long-term financial plan that councillors have, there's $80,000 line item in there for the Macquarie Street master plan, if that's answering the question.
Not quite. Do we already have one?
Oh, no. There's, and I think the CBD plan from, I think, around 2012 does talk about Macquarie Street and the need for an additional plan, and certainly it's included in the CBD Place Vision and Activation Plan, the need for a master plan for Macquarie Street.
Sorry, the one I'm referring to is the Lachlan Riverbank Precinct Master Plan, which is mentioned on page 46, 5.2.
We certainly have a Lachlan River master plan, yes.
Sorry to continue this. Is there any reason that we would need to set aside $80,000 for it? As I said, it's not put in the recommendations, but it's certainly written in 5.2 of the minutes. So just to clarify, if this does come up within our new plan, is this actually an essential thing, or would it not be needed because we already have one?
I'd have to check the latest draft of the long-term financial plan, Mr Chairman, but whether it was included in there, I suspect it would have been somewhere in this next 4 or 5 years to be reviewed. I know the Peace Precinct Master Plan was in there, I'd have to check the latest version, and that $80,000 figure was just the ballpark we were putting in for all of them.
Great, thank you very much.
I might be able to shed a little bit of light on that.
Councillor Watt.
Thank you. So the Lachlan River Precinct Master Plan was scheduled for renewal. I think it's at about 30 years point, and we've done most of the things in that master plan. So in the long-term financial plan for the last couple of years, we've had that scheduled there for renewal. The minutes here also are referring to there's a couple of master plans upcoming that do have connection to the CBD, and through conversation, I think, as we've had in the discussions about financial plans, that's about what those reviews are sitting at about 80,000. Again, not suggesting by any means that we necessarily spend that, but we're sitting there. And the Lachlan River Bank Precinct Master Plan, I think, was particularly pulled out because a large part of the CBD activation plan that was adopted talks about the riverfront city and the work with that. So it called for a review of this plan to pick up some of those ideas to come through. I think seeing the longevity of the plan and that we have completed most of those vision pieces in that plan, it would be reasonable that we do not just a simple review because the plan's kind of finished, but that we think about what's the whole next stage is in that view. Thanks.
Anyone else wish to comment? Councillor Wright.
Yeah, thank you. And I'd like to thank the councillors that are retiring from the committee. My idea of councillors on committee is just to hear what people are saying and offer some advice if they want to know where things are going, and two's plenty. when it first started, there was 5, I think, and I thought that's just too heavy. People come along and they got 5 councillors there, and they feel that unless those 5 agree with what they're thinking, nothing's going to happen. And the idea of this committee, I think, is to get people to talk to us, that feel confident that it can be passed on to the General Council for consideration, and they're open in their comments to make. And I think we don't need a lot of councillors on these committees, because we're not operating the business in the CBD. These other people, the people there are, and they're the ones we want to hear from so we can improve things. It worries me when this master plan thing comes up and we want to do something from Macquarie Street, and $80,000, and it's about $1,000 a metre. I find that we need to incorporate some of these into the rest of the plans we got, and someone might do it for cheaper, but Macquarie Street needs work doing to it. But you've got a fairly long wall of an arcade. You've got another arcade, one arcade over the other side. You've got a church and some business buildings going up the hill and so forth. And yeah, like this, $80,000, and it's just often just feel-good stuff that they put into this master plan. They come around, they talk to people, and they write down what people said. And I just think that we need to look at what we want to achieve with these master plans and the best way to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to comment? Councillor Downing?
I think, just to clarify, that the $80,000 figure was based on the sports fields master plans that we had just completed recently. So that was the figure that we had put on that, and that would what we thought would be the cost going forward. That's a whole different thing to the consultant and the plan that we did with the Cowra Can Do Day, in my opinion. I think that sports field master plan is extremely detailed. There was great consultation with all of the users and that kind of thing. So if we're going for that, I think it'll be well worth the money.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to comment?
Just a question.
Question, yes.
The sports field master plan is not part of this thing here. I wasn't referring to the sports field one.
No, Councillor Wright. Yeah. Councillor Downing was comparing the cost of a master plan, and that was the one that they compared it to. I'm with Councillor Watt. It doesn't mean we spend 80,000, but it's just a figure that we'd probably think should go in there and see what happens. Right, a reply, Councillor Watt. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Thank you very much. 5.1, policy review, the public interest disclosure policy. Councillor Watt. Councillor Kiss, thank you. Councillor Watt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just briefly, a thank you to the Director and the Corporate Services team for undertaking the additional work as requested to provide some more depth to this policy. We can see through this new draft there is more detail in the kinds of examples of what counts as a PID versus a general report, and the types and who explicitly to report to, which were the key missing pieces that we highlighted last time, of that lack of clarity around what fits in and outside of the report, as well as a bit more clarity on the councillors, where councillors can report as part of this. So just wanted to say thank you and happy to adopt this policy.
Thank you, Councillor Kiss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And just to add that, you know, we do consider within council public interest disclosures to be incredibly important. The integrity of them is important, and that it has actually been updated in consultation with the Office of New South Wales Ombudsman and the local government New South Wales. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to comment? Councillor Wright.
Yeah, this is a policy that needs to be at a level where it's operational and where people can make these declarations or disclosures to the council and feel confident they won't receive any intimidation from within by doing it. They should be encouraged to make these things, because often things can happen that people might do something that's not right, but didn't really know that it wasn't right what they were doing. And it's a one way of learning. They say you can learn from your mistakes. You can make one, but if you make two, you're in serious trouble. But yeah, and I support what I briefly read through that. That's the main part of the thing, is protection of the person making the disclosure.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment? Right, a reply, Councillor Watt.
Not required, thank you.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Passed, thank you. 5.2, investments and financial report. Councillor Kiss. Councillor Watt, thank you. Councillor Kiss.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Once again, a healthy financial report for Cowra Council, and I'd like to thank the Director and his staff for monitoring the finances so closely. Council's turn deposit interest rates continue to perform well and have been steadily increasing since the end of 2025. I'd like to thank the residents for diligently paying their rates on time. And as at the end of the March, we hold approximately 40 million in restricted funds, but just over 2.3 million in our operating capital. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Watt.
Thank you. And just to highlight as well, our average interest rate, while continuing to be above 4%, is starting to fall below average market rates now, even when comparing the same bracket as under 90 days or under comparative to both the average market rate and our rate. So I might just put a question on notice with our Director being absent to provide some insight into what we are planning to do to improve that overall investment portfolio.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment? Right, a reply, Councillor Kiss.
Not needed, thank you.
Put the motion. All those in favour? Thank you. Passed. 5.3, donation request for the Koyo Matsuri Festival this Friday. Councillor Kiss. Councillor Downing. Councillor Kiss.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and yes, I did note that this Friday. It's come around very quickly. Koyo Matsuri, look, it's no doubt it's been a very successful festival in its own right, aside from the one that we have at Sakura. And we invite the children, the school children, out to the Koyo Matsuri Festival. It's lovely seeing the schools out there and the children enjoying the Japanese gardens and all the festivities. Look, I think we always need to keep an eye on the bigger picture here. You know, there's no question that the festival expresses our mutual desire for peace and harmony with our Japanese friends, and that's really the crux of our relationship. We need to be showing that we actively celebrate something that's so precious to both of us. And look, $2,500, it's what the recommendation is. We've provided that in years past. I fully support the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Downing.
Yep, I support the donation of $2,500 to help with hosting a reception. This is just a newer cultural experience for those that attend the Japanese gardens, apart from the Sakura Matsuri, and it's building and will build over time, I'm sure. So more than happy to help and just have discussions and financial planning going forward, and adding this to something that we just do each year without having them to ask for the donation. So I'm looking forward to that going forward if that's passed.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to come? Councillor Fagan.
Yeah, I'd just like to ask a question, if I could. We have the Cowra Community Grants and we have an event section. We have had an event section. I'm just wondering why the Japanese Garden doesn't apply for funds through the Cowra community events.
I'll hand to the General Manager.
It's for, that community grants categories for new events. That's why they wouldn't have applied.
Anyone else? Councillor Watt?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Very happy to support this, and as noted by Councillor Downing, Council is considering adding this as an ongoing line item. Koyo Matsuri's been around for about 5 years now, 4 or 5 years now, and it's becoming quite a good event in the calendar. It's a little bit less public than Sakura Matsuri, being focused more, as I said, on Children's Day, but also on the annual oration and that connection, a greater connection to us as a leader of peace, which I think is a really good space for council and the community to get into, of bringing forward those difficult conversations and interesting conversations about Cowra as an example in history. It's also been an event that has resulted in the gardens receiving donations and funding, as well as acknowledging and connecting in significant people to the gardens. So I think it's a quite a beneficial event, and hopefully with this kind of support it will be able to continue growing going forward.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment? I'd just like to advise councillors, this year we have the Deputy Consul General from Sydney speaking, and the oration is Mrs. Di Fitzpatrick, who is the chair of the Australia-Japan Society in Canberra. So that'll be an interesting oration if you've got time to come up there on Friday afternoon. It's well worthwhile. Anyone else wish to comment? Right, a reply, Councillor Kiss.
Not needed, thank you.
Put the motion. All those in favour? Pass, thank you. 6.1, Committee Minutes of the Transport Forum. I'll move that they be accepted. Councillor Wright, thank you. The Transport Forum is no longer a committee, it's a forum these days. We don't get to vote on anything. I'm interested to note that the minutes say things were carried, but it's probably more they are agreed rather than carried. So most of this is straightforward. The NAIDOC march, the rest of it is the one that you'll probably all want to talk about is the roundabout. We'll come back to that in a moment. We've had a talk with the hospital and the police, and at this stage we see no need to change speed limits around the hospital. This could change when they start knocking the building down from the western end. That's where, if we're going to have problems. I know they're keeping the footpath open, but when they do whatever they do to the western end, and I still don't know how they're going to go about it, they may have to close the footpath for short periods of time. But you've got to break eggs if you want an omelette, I suppose. So we've put up parking as a problem, but we don't see a speed limit at this time being appropriate. Councillor Wright?
Yeah, I only second it because you're looking pretty lonely there for a while. Yeah, no, I can. What's the soccer people? They wanted to lower the speed for a longer period. They have got rights now if they got someone qualified to change the speed to 40 while soccer's on there, haven't they? Or?
I'll explain that. We have a rule down there that you have to be accredited to. It's only a matter of flipping the sign, but you do have to be accredited to do so. But we've been advised that you don't have to be accredited to do so. But the department think you do. So that's why we've deferred that, any action on that, till we get advice from the Department of Transport. It's their road. And certainly we've been advised that you don't need a qualification to do it, but they believe you do, so we're seeking legal clarification there. Someone gets hit and someone's not qualified and they were supposed to be qualified, we're leaving ourselves short. So that's just a difference of advice we've been given.
Thank you. Regarding the hospital, it'd be interesting when they start taking the bricks and that down and how they're going to get truckloads out of there or where they're going to go, the vehicle movements and so forth. But I suppose that will happen when it is started, and there's probably been discussion already, and they've got all that covered. It's just, it's a very tall building, and I just hope things go the way the computer plan thinks they're going to go. And as far as the roundabout goes, well, it's to be discussed in the next item. And I'm just very grateful that they have got a computer system that can tell them exactly when an accident's going to happen at that roundabout and why it won't happen. Anyway, thanks very much.
Two things, General Manager. We need someone to note that item 4, which is the roundabout, that it be referred to the next item, which is 6.2. We need someone to recommend that.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I think you've moved, and Councillor Wright has seconded adoption of the 5 recommendations that are listed in the report. Whether you meant to move 5, including the substitution of item 4 with what's listed in the report, I'm not sure, but yourself and Councillor Wright have moved and seconded 1 to 5 as listed.
And that being the case, we'll need someone to move an amendment that we don't accept recommendation 4. So, Councillor Downing and Councillor Kiss.
So moving 1, 2, 3 and 5.
So that we move 1, 2, 3 and 5, but not 4.
I'm happy for that amendment because I would like to discuss that in the next, and I don't want to pass this as being a true and accurate record of the minutes.
Councillor Kiss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nothing needs to be said at the moment. Thanks.
Okay, that's an amendment. Would anyone like to speak against the amendment?
I'll speak against it because only on principle. This has come from the committee, and the committee's recommendation or their consensus on the view. It sounds like consensus is coming back into the system, which is the worst word I've ever heard of. Because you all got to agree on something before you can go forward. You cannot disagree and participate. So if you carry this as the original motion, that's what the committee said. And the next one is beginning the next stage of our deliberation that you're not going to, that you want more work done on that roundabout, and you want to put it back to the committee. This changes, so it's 6 of one and half a dozen other. I'm quite happy. I'm just being a fly in the ointment, get my name in the paper again. But good luck.
Councillor Watt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Wright. I'm a bit of a similar stick in the mud about process, but in the 5 items that were originally in the recommendation, item 1 articulates the noting of the minutes as they sit and the noting of the recommendations suggested by the Traffic Committee, and items 2 to 5, or now to missing number 4 in the amendment, say the actions that council agrees to take. And so by putting forward this amendment, I don't believe it says this wasn't what happened in the meeting. What it says is that council doesn't accept number 4 as a recommendation that we'd like to take forth with action.
Anyone else wish to comment? Okay, do I write a reply on an amendment?
You get to write a reply, yes.
No. Councillor Downing moved the amendment, so there's no right of reply. So I'll put the vote on the amendment. All those in favour of the amendment, raise your hand. So the amendment is passed. So the amendment becomes the motion. Do I? So the mover of the motion is Councillor Downing, so you get to speak to it.
To the motion of the amendment, or just
Yes.
the actual motion? Well, it just makes sense to me because I think, as Councillor Watt has indicated, the committee is recommending these things that they want done, and we're going to be discussing number 4 in the next item. So I think it is well within our rights to hold it over and to make a decision on that, and then if necessary, if council can't make that decision themselves, for that to go back to this committee and say this is what council has decided, and ask them what we should do about that. So I'm more than happy to do that.
Councillor Kiss?
Well explained and articulated in particular by Councillor Watt. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to comment? Right of reply, Councillor Downing? No, you get the right of reply. I get the right of reply as the original mover of the motion.
I want to talk about soccer. When do I talk about soccer?
I have the right of reply. I do want to address Councillor Wright's concerns about the truck movements and little bits that do come to me. The bit they've pulled down from the back of the hospital, which was the kitchen and all of that, that's started to be knocked down. The bricks they will take out of that, they will crush themselves and make a road along the back that will come off Ina Drive and come out onto Brisbane Street. And so that they can, as they pull the bricks out of the hospital, they'll put it straight into the truck and drive off with a full truck. And that road will also give a solid base for a very large crane that is coming to put something on the roof. Whether that's an excavator or what on the roof, I don't know. But that's what's happening there. And it's, again, the traffic movements, once that starts to happen, is where we'll address things again. The roundabout, I moved it as the recommendation as a whole. I didn't mean to move it without 4, I meant to move it with 4. I was soundly defeated and I accept that. So I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Passed, thank you. 6.2, the Brisbane Street roundabout. Do I have someone moving a motion on that? Councillor Watt?
Yes, thank you. I would like to move the motion that council adopt option 3. I haven't thought about quite how to word this. That council adopt option 3 and make the following the subsequent changes to the landscaping of the roundabout at the intersection of Liverpool Street and Macquarie Street.
Option 3 was the removal of all the outside.
Yep, correct.
Garden. Do I have a seconder for Councillor Watt's motion? Councillor Kiss, thank you. Councillor Watt, would you like to speak to your motion?
Thank you very much. Firstly, I'd like to thank Scott Vickery for continuing to bring this up at council. As he noted in our last conversation in the chamber about this issue, a number of us have experienced issues with this roundabout, and ever since we started talking about it, driving around even in my quite large vehicle, it's very clear that even though it may meet requirements, I think due to the strange topography of the roundabout, it is one that is challenging even if it meets those requirements. I think that option 3 is the best option for us to take forward. It would make the roundabout consistent with the other roundabouts in town of having something in the middle and providing that space. We are also a town that has a number of large vehicles travelling around, and so I think this allows that capacity for trucks and all sorts of things to manoeuvre school buses as they do on this road. By reducing that, we know that having a bit of that concrete space does make it easier for those large vehicles. And I think if we were to look at option 2 instead, I think that would be a little bit challenging because while it does improve, it doesn't completely remove the barrier. And I think if we're doing the work, let's do it properly. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Kiss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, I'm not for 1 minute questioning the site distances. They're obviously accurate. And if the roundabout was on a level or near level intersection, I'm certain we wouldn't be having this discussion, nor would it have been continually raised since the pot plants were put in there in 2006. And while I appreciate all the work that's gone into creating the report regarding the sight distance, I still believe it's only telling half the story. Sight distances assume level ground with typical acceleration, typical driver behaviour. This roundabout clearly is not on level ground. In fact, it says that there's greater than 90-degree road gradient from the north to the southern side. Heading from north from the southern side, 9-degree gradient will impact how a driver and a vehicle responds. There's a chance of a small rollback. That in itself can cause a driver to hesitate just momentarily as they're going to take off, which means then somebody that's coming around roundabout will have a greater chance to catch up to them. And look, I'm not an engineer, so I did head to Google for a few statistics to try to ascertain like what I'm actually feeling when I head on that roundabout. Now, and because it does feel different when you're going uphill, Google suggested that research on grade effects showed that 6 to 8% inclines can increase startup time by 0.5 to 1.5 seconds, and 9% would significantly reduce a vehicle's ability to move forward from a stop-start. So what we need to acknowledge here is this just isn't a typical sight distance. This is not only sight, but also how we respond and how the vehicle responds to that incline. Now, the only reference I've found in any of these reports to the 9-degree gradient is on page 119, which is in relation to the October 2025 report. However, in all of that, I'm still unable to locate any consideration that's given to those undeniable effects of the gradient. So, you know, the whole report is evidenced on sight distance and obviously proven to be correct. I did note the email from the director in July of 2025 on page 126. It asked for an assessment of compliance considering issues specifically relating to the planter box height, potentially restricting sight distance. And again, that was duly performed. So there's nothing wrong with the site is what I'm saying. And I'm really not trying to be difficult. I love the look of the flowers in the flower pots, but that's safety issues aside. There have been many concerns raised by locals, and as it's been attested to, not all incidents are actually reported to the police, so that isn't necessarily a fair representation of near misses. Look, we've come this far, and I think that to keep continuing on saying it meets site standards, it just doesn't cut the mustard. Our community wants something done. Our councillors have experienced this as well. I just don't think that to do nothing is a reasonable option. I think we need to say, all right, this does meet the standards, but what can we do to actually make it easier for the locals to traverse? We don't seem to have the same issues with any of the other roundabouts around town, so I'm fully supportive of the recommendation to implement number 3, which will give people that extra little bit of starting time as they're going uphill. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to comment? Councillor Fagan.
Look, this is a good outcome, I think. People have been complaining to me since 2006 about this roundabout. I feel that I personally don't have any problem with it, but it is a very busy corner. Having the hospital right there and the school down the road makes it extremely busy, and I just think that we have had lots of people who've mentioned it, and I think the residents have asked for this, and I think we should just bite the bullet and make it safe for everybody. Thank you.
Anybody else wish to comment? Councillor Downing.
Yes, I would like to acknowledge what Councillor Keys said about it. It does meet the standards. There's nothing technically wrong with it until you're using it. And then when you're using it, there's a problem, and there can be lots of problems. I just had a question about the data that was collected about traffic movement. Was that done before the new hospital was built, or was it done after?
We'll have to take that on notice, Councillor,
Okay.
and come back to you.
Yeah, thank you. I was just thinking that it has created an even bigger problem there with parking on that hill. And I'm more than happy. I have written in my book option 3. So I'm more than happy to support option 3.
Anyone else wish to comment? Councillor Wright.
Yeah, just a question. What's a low profile street sign and why do we need them on the roundabout?
Excuse me. The low profile street sign is similar to what's on the Bow Street, Brisbane Street roundabout. Just it's not sitting on a pole 2.5 metres high. It's down there in the roundabout. So you look straight at it as you come into the sort of green decorative signs that go around the roundabout.
Yeah, the street signs might be all right, but if you start putting street art there, you're causing distractions. People look at the art, but anyway, if that's what you want to do, that's good. And I think it is in need of making a bit more, giving a bit more people a bit more to see. Bit more vision around the roundabout, because when they're coming down there or coming up, it's hard to see when you're very close to the roundabout who is on the roundabout on the Brisbane Street entries. And as Mr. Vickery told us in the first information evening we had with him, the person on the roundabout's got the right of way, so you've got to know where those people are. And it is an improvement. Like when it was first put there, we put a $5,000 black boy in the centre of it. It was very attractive, but someone thought it'd look better in their garden and on the roundabout. So we put a $3,500 black boy there and chained it into the bed. But apparently that didn't stop it either. But so we have made changes there over the years, and I think this is just another change that will be better. Thank you.
Thank you. The General Manager.
Mr. Chairman, just following from Councillor Wright's comment, I wonder if Council might like to give some clarity to the staff, and when it does say low profile street signs or street art, perhaps pick one. I suspect if none is chosen by council, the staff will install street signs.
I'm happy to amend the motion to say street signs.
Second, happy with that. Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment? I'd like to have a say because I'm going to vote against this. The roundabout fully complies. It's compliant. No doubt about that. We've got all the facts. It complies, which plenty of councillors said here tonight. Mr. Vickery also informed us that you give way to a vehicle that is already on the roundabout. Now, that's all very clear. This is not a roundabout problem. This is a driver problem. If you slow down and give way to whoever's on it, there won't be a problem. I go through that's the main thoroughfare, as we've said, to North Cowra, and I live in North Cowra. I go up there generally about 6 times a day through that roundabout. That's the route I take to get wherever I'm going. I come down Binney Creek Road, then Risborough Street. I've never had a problem. Some people go through there too fast. I fully admit that. But if you slow down and give way to the person already on the roundabout, there won't be an issue. And I don't think it's a roundabout problem. I know full well that it complies. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a driver problem we've got, not a roundabout problem. So that'll be my attitude. Right of reply, Councillor Watt.
Thank you all for your input, and it's great to see us work through it and come to a good solution. We can do a lot by looking around the room and figuring out where people sit. I absolutely agree. We've come through here and given a report that it is technically compliant in some ways, but I think as Councillor Kiss noted, there are a number of variables that weren't fully in detail adopted. Through life, I continually think, yes, it's all well and good to presume that people act as rational actors and follow the street rules to the T, but in reality, we know that this is a place that has a number of those extra variables, even considering, I think, a really important one from Councillor Kiss of when you're on that hill, sometimes, you just got to put your foot down to go, and it's a little bit harder, and all of those small delays do have an impact on our driver behaviour. I think that we've identified that this is not a enjoyable roundabout. I think as much as we can do as council to listen to our community and take action to make the roads as safe as possible is something that is really worthwhile. We're not suggesting anything radical other than removing some planter boxes. So I think it's a reasonable step to take to try and improve safety for our community.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Just me. Motion is passed. So option 3 it is with street signs, Councillor Watt. Thank you. 7.1, Section 355 Committee Draft Minutes, the Environmental Sustainability Committee meeting held on the 16th of March 2026. Councillor Fagan, thank you. Councillor Wright, thank you very much. Councillor Fagan.
Yes, this is the minutes from March, and as you can see, we have, we've already passed at the committee meeting that we would include Sean Brindle as a member of our committee. He's a member of the local land services and very keen to help us out, and it's great that we have these organisations. We have Land Care, Land Services, the Woodland Birds people. We have a variety of environmental and sustainability groups on this committee, and it helps to help us make decisions about what we're going to do in the future. I also like to note, if I could, that we did receive a letter of from the council, from the land. I would like to word this correctly. We have a letter telling us that we actually have access to the hill, the back of Bellevue Hill, and we're allowed to remediate that. So we're now looking for some sort of grant applications and some sort of funding to be able to do more of that. I know the council has applied for weed reduction funding on that site, but we would like to do more path building and restoring the environment up there. So we're now looking for funding for that, and we've also launched the Small Environmental Projects Fund. So that's all going well, and we've been out to see to look at bird hides if you're interested, and so we're going to have a discussion about that in the next meeting. Thank you.
Councillor Wright.
I haven't got a lot more to add to what Councillor Fagan has presented. I congratulate Councillor Fagan on the enthusiasm that she brings to this committee and organising things. She did get the inspection of the sites for the bird hides done last week, I think it was, and and gives us all a bit of momentum to get things done. And as she said, the Bellevue Hill, we can use that as a training area, I think, for things we can do there to improve the environment of the area there, and there is a lot of remediation to be done, and we might be able to work something out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment? Councillor Kiss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and look, great to see the Environmental Sustainability Committee moving forward, and congratulations on ascertaining the support of Mr. Sean Brindle. Looks like he'll be a very worthwhile member of the group. You've got a great cross-section of knowledge there in your membership. Just a question regarding the environmental grants, and because I haven't familiarised myself with it, through the chair, would it be possible to get a copy of the grants application, eligibility criteria, amounts, so forth, sent through to us, just so that we can familiarise this? I mean, I don't know whether anybody else is, but I'm not familiar with what they are. I know that they've been on our website for some time, but I couldn't actually find a link to what it was all about, but it would be lovely to be able to promote that as we see fit. And also, being that I imagine it's been sitting there for quite some time from when it first went out, just to ensure that it is appropriate for the current needs of our community and obviously the Environmental Sustainability Committee, because I don't know how long it's been there and whether the designs may need to be at all changed. Thank you.
Councillor Fagan, can you
No, I'd like, the director can talk about those things. They're all matters for administration.
Through the chair, we have new flyers that have just recently been completed that will be distributed to the community through community organisations. The small environment grants are available to non-for-profit organisations and small community groups. And what I can do is forward a copy of those to council and the application forms and guidelines as well.
Councillor Kiss again.
Yep, may I just also, just because we're already telling me what it's all about, confirm the eligibility amount, and although Director Dalton isn't here, I was just curious because I haven't looked at what's in our budget for an annual amount as well.
Through the chair, it's $2,000.
Anyone else wish to comment?
Yeah, the only
Councillor
comment.
Councillor Downing. Sorry, Councillor Wright. I've called Councillor Downing first.
Sorry. Just to clarify, is Councillor Kiss asking for us to review that policy? If we're going to receive it, are you suggesting that we make changes to that?
Or, are you suggesting we make changes to it, Councillor Kiss?
Not necessarily, only in that I wasn't familiar with it. I'm actually not even sure of how long it's been around, just making sure that it does currently meet the needs of the Environmental Sustainability Committee. And if it does, great. If not, then it might need to be looked at. That was, yeah. We haven't been using them, so I'm just not sure whether it meets current needs.
Through the chair, you're correct. They haven't promoted the grants for the last few years, and it is something that the committee as a whole has determined that they wish to pursue and promote through the community and through educational establishments.
Okay. Councillor Wright, have you got a question?
Yeah, just what policy was Councillor Downing talking about changing the first? Is that the long-term financial plan budget, was it? Or?
No, just addressing whether Councillor Kiss thought that us receiving the policy about the grants, whether she would be suggesting that we make changes to that if we see it and it's not fit. That was just a question.
I think Councillor Fagan.
Can I clarify? Okay, so I've only taken on this role in the last 6 months or 8 months. We did have a small environmental grant project going, and it was lax for a couple of years. We reviewed all the application forms. We had quite a big detailed look into what was appropriate, what wasn't. We've come out with what we think is actually going to work, but it may not. We're not gurus. We cannot assess what's actually going to happen, but we have gone on similar lines to the last one. You apply for $2,000, I think, and you have to spend $2,000. It has to be small environmental projects. It is for the community. We do have a business section if a business wants to do something that's environmentally sustainable, like, you know, some sort of composting or something interesting, but we encourage. But we have put out the application forms, I think, pretty sure they should be on the website. I've seen a Facebook post about it. I think, you know, we are engaging the community in those, and as they come available, we'll work out, I think, in the next 6 months, by the end of the year, whether what we have is working for our community. And it is quite a tricky position to be. It's quite a tricky place to provide sustainable money for sustainability projects. So we'll work out whether it's going to work for our community and then come back to you. If it doesn't work, we'll find some other way of doing it. But at this stage, that's what we're planning to do.
Thank you. Is that your right of reply, Councillor Fagan? Or would you like a right of reply?
I can have a right of reply if I could.
Certainly.
Just to thank Director Dirk for coming out to and engaging with our committee. We were very enthusiastic about the bird hides. We visited Elsie Vale Lane, and the sewage treatment works where there's a lot of birds, and apparently it's a very big tourist site and lots of people visit there to look at the birds. What we're trying to do is access those sites sustainability in a sustainable way and with a bit of safety and in mind. So we haven't come up with any grand plan yet, but we will, and it's one of those ongoing projects, and most of these projects are really ongoing for the Sustainability Committee. We can't make up our mind tomorrow and do something. It's not an instant fix by any means. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Passed. Thank you. 7.2, development application number 10.2026.4.1, lot 167, DP 1162233, being 2 Hillside Terrace, Cowra, a six lot subdivision and construction of 2 dual occupancy dwellings, 2 semi-detached dwellings and 2 dwellings. Lodged by A. Robson, the property owner is Southern Rural Holdings Proprietary Limited. Can I have a mover? Councillor Kiss. Councillor Horton. Thank you, Councillor Kiss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We did discuss this quite extensively at our General Committee meeting. The reasons for the variations are because of reduced property sizes. Our typical land size, lot size is 700 metres square. Some of these would range anywhere from 342 down to 877 square metres, and also the setbacks, which have also been well explained, and the side setbacks, and also, should be noted, meet the National Construction Code. Look, this is on over 3,000 square metres, 3.3, how did you say it? 3,313 square metres block. Yeah, okay, I should have just said it in its entirety. But I think it's been very well designed. It's a 6-lot subdivision, but it will allow for 8 occupancies, 8 dwellings. So 2 of them are dual occupancy and the others are semi-detached. It looks well designed. I think they're also very well presented, and being on the corner block that it is, it's going to provide a lot of access to the properties without having to have huge battle axes all the way through. I'm really impressed with the design of this. I think that, as I've always said, you know, not everybody needs to have a 3/4 acre block and full family home. These are going to look really good, present really well, and I think just be a real asset for the community up there in Hillside Terrace. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Horton.
Thank you. Yes, as Councillor Kiss has mentioned, this is well laid out and well planned. There's been a lot of work going into it. So it came to us not only because of the requested variation for setbacks, but also because of some delegation levels that meant it had to come to council. I actually think this is a really clever use of that size block. As Councillor Kiss called out, individuals have preferences about how they want to live and where they want to live. What we need in Cowra, and we talked about this a lot through the development of the housing strategy, is a greater mix of different housing stock, and this speaks directly to that. It's absolutely not going to be everybody's preference, but if you're looking to downsize for whatever reason, or you're a younger person looking for a more affordable place to rent, then you're not going to be able to afford your 4-bedroom place on an acre or whatever. So, you know, these options increase our housing stock. The variation about the side setback is addressed. As Councillor Kiss mentioned, it complies with the National Construction Code with respect to the relevant walls being 90 millimetres thick masonry, and you know, of course, that's to help with fire reduction in the case that anything goes horribly wrong. It also supports, as is mentioned there, consistent street frontage for those dwellings, and you know, supports the attractiveness, if you like, of the usage, the frontage onto the different streets that work. So, like I said, I think it's a clever use of that block. I think it adds impressively to the variation we have in our housing stock, and I'm happy to support the application. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment? Councillor Wright.
Yeah, I've got a question. In dot point 2 or 2 dot, it still mentions 50 millimetre setback, side setback. I thought that was a misprint and it's actually 50 centimetres, or is it still 50 millimetres?
Through the chair, it's 50 millimetres. Yep.
2 inches. Yeah, well, right. So, how much, there's got room on the other side of the boundary to stand while they lay the bricks, have they?
That will be for the builder and the labourers to sort out, but it is permissible under the National Construction Code to build right up to the boundary.
Yeah, and I realise that. I had it with a local land board case out on a property where someone was arguing with their neighbour and put a brick stable on the boundary, even though they had 300 odd acres to build it on. Yeah, I have concerns with having a 50 millimetre setback. That means you can't get up the side of it. If you need to get up the side of it to get to the back of it, at least with 50 centimetres, a person can walk up there. I just, I thought it was said that it was 50 centimetres and it was a printer, it was a typo. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment? Councillor Watt.
Thanks. A question, if I may. Which setback is at 50 millimetres? Because I don't think they all are. I think it's on a particular item, no, particular house.
Through the chair, it's on dwelling D.
Dwelling D. Do you have a page number for reference?
If you refer to page 179, it's where it's on the site plan, you can actually see it as dwelling D.
Fantastic. And that's the only one that has a 50 millimetres? Yeah, great. I think noting that it is on the front side of it, it backs straight onto the fence line, that this is reasonable in my view. I think if you look at all the other setbacks, there is quite a bit of space surrounding that dwelling to get into. And considering that all of these are being developed together, that provides that practicality in terms of building, that I'm sure they'll build in concert to make that work together. I think this proposal fits quite well with our housing plan. The dual occupancy housing is quite useful to have the appearance of a larger house and be more consistent with the houses around it, while also providing that different type of housing set out here. As noted in our last discussion of this, there is a reasonable amount of outdoor space surrounding the buildings itself, but they are also backing onto some areas that will not be developed because they have a drainage pond on site. So that provides that bit of amenity that is often missing when we look at quite dense housing, because they have that external views as well as both the views out to Cowra from the elevation here in the Vineyard Drive area. So happy to support this one going forward, and as was mentioned, it is quite a good development to see for our town to have this diversity of housing.
Anyone else wish to comment? Right, a reply, Councillor Kiss.
No, not needed. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour, this is the DA people. Passed. Thank you very much. Last one is 8.1, Councillor Information Request, which probably explains a bit of that for you, Councillor Wright. 8.1 was the request to explain that whether that was 50 mil or 500 mil. So can I have someone move that we note and accept the councillor information request, please? Councillor Kiss, Councillor Horton, thank you. Councillor Kiss?
Not needed, thank you.
Councillor Horton?
Not required, thank you.
Anyone else wish to comment? Right a reply, Councillor Kiss?
Not needed, thank you.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Pass, thank you. Are there any urgent matters for motions without notice? Okay. I declare no confidential matters, so I declare the meeting has concluded at 7 p.m.